A teenage girl picked up by ICE while driving on I-70. Immigration advocates say it's a clear violation of state law. A municipal judge is fired shortly after ruling against the city that employs her. The city says it was a coincidence.
Many in the city of Montrose are probably feeling really uneasy about the circumstances here.
We remember the last in a group of heroes, a Coloradan who played a key role in history.
He's a brave man, as far as I'm concerned. He's a hero.
And together, we'll boost a nonprofit that keeps people and their pets together, and those humans worry they'll have to surrender those animals for economic reasons. That's tonight on Next. Colorado continues to sit at the center of America's immigration debate in expected and unexpected ways. So we knew the Trump administration would try to challenge Colorado's laws that limit local law enforcement's participation in immigration roundups. We did not know it would come to involve text messages that led ICE to snag a teenage girl driving on I-70. Our Angeline McCall has new information on that case.
Are you going to be there for the weekend?
The body camera shows what we can see.
Give me a couple minutes to look this over and then I'll get you going, okay?
A routine traffic stop. A Mesa County deputy pulling over 19-year-old Carolyn Diaz Conclaves.
How long you lived in Utah for?
Like 12 years.
Born and raised or no?
No, I was born in,
But then there's what happens that you cannot see in the video.
I was born in Brazil.
Oh, that's cool.
The Mesa County Sheriff's Office says the deputy messaged in a group chat with other law enforcement officials. It was meant for drug enforcement, and yet ICE pulled her over shortly thereafter.
This traffic stop is one of the exact reasons we worked to pass this state legislation 6 years ago, because this was happening over and over and over again in different parts of the state.
Immigration attorney Hans Meyer and Democratic State Senator Julie Gonzalez worked together to pass state laws. Senate Bill 21-131 and Senate Bill 25-276 to stop ICE from accessing personal information.
So in light of these state laws that are in place, what did you guys think when you heard about what happened in Mesa County?
Oh, I'm furious because Mesa County Sheriff's Office has themselves admitted that that collaboration is in direct contravention of our state law. So what are you supposed to do, and who are you supposed to trust when law enforcement is saying, yeah, sorry about that, we broke the law?
Where are you from? You got a little bit of an accent.
What we're seeing is that there's a fabrication of context that law enforcement is investigating some sort of unnamed criminal activity, but it's de facto used for immigration enforcement.
What happens next? Do you plan to ask for or request the messages, and then if you get those, what then?
Look, we put stiff penalties into place, $50,000 per violation into our state statutes back in 2021 and have extended those out here in 2025. And $50,000 civil penalty for Mesa County Sheriff's Office will do nothing to undestroy this young woman's life.
Despite the fact that the Mesa County Sheriff's Office says this kind of sharing of information is in contrast to law, that this doesn't stop the fact that her immigration case now will be advanced through the system. So even if there is some kind of recourse for her, that this should have never happened at all, it could forever change her life and her future, Kyle.
It seemed like kind of a weird traffic stop, right? Like she's like back at his vehicle, he's inside the vehicle, asking her questions out the window.
Well, I've never been in a traffic stop where I've been asked to get into a vehicle, a law enforcement vehicle. That's what happened to her. And there is some concern that there is another violation of another state law that prohibits law enforcement from delaying or kind of holding someone, a detainer, for instance, so that ICE could detain them. In this case, there is concern that this officer delayed the traffic stop so that ICE could eventually catch up to her.
Oh, perhaps like stalling so that they had more time to get to this young woman. All right, Angeline McCall, thank you. Today we're learning more about the man who was arrested by ICE inside a courthouse in Denver yesterday. ICE now says that that man had just received a final order of removal from a judge minutes before he was detained. Advocates tell us that the man had told the judge that he planned to appeal. That's a very common scenario, and immediate detention is unusual in those instances. An ICE spokesperson tells us the man who was detained is a 33-year-old from Ecuador who arrived in the U.S. last year. Immigration advocates who spoke with the family say the man told the judge there in court yesterday he planned to appeal the order. Standard process. According to the Justice Department guidelines, there's then a 30-day appeals window to challenge the removal order unless somebody waives that right to appeal. An ICE spokesperson tells us the man was eligible for detention the moment the order was issued, regardless of whether he was appealing. We've seen arrests right outside of immigration hearings become more common under the Trump administration as ICE tries to hit quotas for the number of people that President Trump wants deported. An ICE spokesperson told NPR they are especially focused on people who have arrived in the U.S. within the past 2 years, folks who are often subject to expedited removal. As the Supreme Court upholds bans on gender-affirming care in other states, Colorado's Democratic leaders are reinforcing that's why they put in state-level protections for that medical care and for the families coming to Colorado seeking it. In a 6-3 decision today, the Supreme Court upheld a law from Tennessee banning puberty blockers and hormone therapy for minors, effectively clearing the way for similar laws in 26 states. Colorado's Democratic Attorney General Phil Weiser said today Colorado law protects gender-affirming care. Colorado law also protects access to health care insurance coverage for gender-affirming care, and it protects patients and providers from out-of-state prosecution. Now, just because that care is legal in Colorado does not necessarily mean that it's accessible. Some providers here have already chosen to limit their gender-affirming care that they offer for patients under 19, especially surgical care, because of threats that the Trump administration will pull their federal funding. A municipal judge in Montrose ruled against her bosses a few weeks ago. And they're not her bosses anymore, because they fired her. Even the city manager admits, this is a bad look. Our Julissa Arizari has the story.
Right. It's not every day a clerical collar finds itself in court. But on this late February afternoon, the Montrose Methodist Church got their miracle.
Kevin, how are you feeling?
Relieved.
Okay.
That's Pastor Kevin Young moments after an emergency abatement hearing in which the city attempted to shut down a shelter church members started in their courtyard.
Yes.
That day, the congregation learned the camp could stay, thanks to a ruling made by Erin Maxwell, a municipal court judge who 5 weeks later got a judgment of her own when the city she ruled against fired her.
What's up with that?
Paul Zanger's a member of the Montrose Methodist Church. He and others learned about the firing this week. It took place back in March in a midday special city council meeting. Was this in retaliation?
Absolutely not.
Montrose City Manager Bill Bell says the termination was 2 years in the making.
We're having some communication issues and kind of understanding roles and responsibilities in the way of setting salaries and wages and different things.
Are you aware of how it looks?
Yes. So council had asked me and the attorney's office about the optics, knowing that it could look a different way. So we did talk about that.
It just doesn't pass the sniff test.
Sierra Anderson is an employment attorney. She says this departure raises red flags, and she worries about the ripple effect it will have.
And it sends a very dangerous message that government employers can punish judges for fulfilling their duty to govern without political influence.
And if the city is going to manipulate circumstances so that they can penalize anybody, that anybody could be in trouble.
Zanger understands why many people are feeling uneasy about this. As the church faces another day in court, he's hopeful it will be handled fairly.
We walk with God, and we'll see where we go.
Zanger says the church has a bench trial scheduled for the end of July. This is to tackle the 30-plus citations the city ticketed the church. Zanger says the ticket penalties amount to about $80,000. Kyle.
So, Julissa, back to this judge. City manager says they've had problems with her for years, but they just happened to give her the heave-ho right after she rules against them.
Yeah, and I asked the city manager that as well. Why didn't you terminate her after year one if you were having so many problems? And he said, well, they hoped that the communication would get better, and they said it did, but then it got bad again.
This is an interesting story on a lot of different levels. Glad you're following it, Julissa. Thank you. There are Coloradans who are making the heartbreaking yet loving decision to surrender their pet because they can't afford to pay for their pet's treatment for a curable condition. And if those people walk into Max Fund in Denver to give up that pet, they're going to learn that that nonprofit has very low-cost vet care aiming to keep people and their pets together. And if folks are still not able to afford that lower-cost care and they have to relinquish their pet, then and the medical decision-making that comes along with it, then Max Fund gives those people the first right to adopt their animal back after the medical procedure. That kindness is a gift, and it is why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports Max Fund's work to keep people and pets together. Max Fund likes to say any healthy or treatable animal has a second chance with them. That nonprofit uses donations from the community to aim to provide the lowest cost vet care in town, hoping to keep as many pets with their people as possible. They regularly talk to Coloradans who have come to believe that relinquishing their animal is their only choice, and Max Fund gives them another option. Among Max Fund's loyal supporters was our friend and colleague Sandy Hernandez, who spent 29 years as a director here at 9 News. She passed away this past spring. Max Fund has scaled up its roster of veterinarians in recent years, knowing that there's more than enough work to keep them busy, and they are betting that Coloradans love animals enough that they will support their expanded mission with more donations. I think that's a good bet. Scan that QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate. Your 5 years of microgiving, $15 million worth, proves what you can do through $5 donations. And as always, I will never ask you to give if I don't, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. More than 5,000 of you are making a recurring monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. It simplifies the process. You put in your info once, and your donations automatically split among all the nonprofits we feature. It's meant these recent microgiving campaigns have started with nearly $35,000 in donations. The governor wipes away convictions for magic mushrooms, and with that, he made a request.
This is the greatest generation, and they're going away very rapidly.
Farewell to a Coloradan who's the last of his kind, a World War II glider pilot who flew over Normandy. That's next. The governor is pardoning everyone in Colorado with a state-level conviction for possessing psychedelic mushrooms. All 4 of those people. Coloradans voted in 2022 to decriminalize natural medicine, including psilocybin, magic mushrooms. An initiative signed into law this year gives the governor the authority to pardon people convicted of possessing natural medicine. So Democratic Governor Jared Polis announced those pardons at a psychedelic science conference today in Denver. There were not many of those state-level convictions. Most are local citations, and the governor is encouraging but cannot force local jurisdictions to follow the state's lead.
We hope that we can all come to terms with this past and make sure that everybody who was convicted of something that's fully legal today can move forward unencumbered with their lives and not have this on the permanent record.
The law approved by voters also established government-regulated healing centers for using psilocybin medicinally. The state has issued licenses for 8 of those healing centers. There are 20 applications in the queue.
A calmer, warmer, late spring day. No severe weather this afternoon. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s and about to jump about 10 degrees higher tomorrow. We do have a heat advisory that will go out for Friday and Saturday for extreme heat. Triple-digit highs, record-breaking high temperatures for the first day of summer Friday and also the start of your weekend. A bit of haze out there. Air quality not great. Air quality alert in effect through 4 o'clock tomorrow for high levels of ozone. Concerns turn to the western slope and elevated fire danger, with the wind and temperature increasing and humidity values coming down. Our severe weather producer yesterday is well east of us, creating travel issues for those leaving Colorado and headed for the eastern seaboard. Why would you want to leave Colorado? Look at this temperature trend tonight. Beautiful night for dinner on the patio. And your extended forecast includes a high of 96 tomorrow. The record's 98. A weather impact alert for Friday and Saturday. Heat advisories out. Triple-digit highs. It's hot on Saturday, but cooler weather early next week with the return of afternoon showers and storms.
A farewell to one of World War II's last living glider pilots on what would have been his 103rd birthday. Hey, a reminder, we want to stay connected with you however we can. So 9 News next, streaming on 9 News Plus. You can find us here each weeknight at 6 p.m. Always free to stream. And next is a podcast, also free wherever you get those. Raymond Ferris Chambers, not a household name. Let's make him one, at least for a moment. He's the last known surviving glider pilot from a group of brave men who flew over Normandy on D-Day. No motors, no parachutes, no second chances. Today he was laid to rest in Colorado on what would have been his 103rd birthday.
Good morning. Today we have gathered to celebrate the life of a truly remarkable man, Raymond Ferris Chambers.
He is the epitome of a true gentleman and American patriot.
It's a big deal that Ray's the last living glider pilot from Normandy.
He was very brave. This was his 103rd birthday today. He would have been 103.
So he took the oath to serve when he was 19 years old, and he flew a glider into Normandy when he was 21. These men were told basically that they were going to have a 50% casualty rate in war because it was, delivering troops and supplies behind enemy lines during major airborne combat missions. This is the greatest generation, and they're going away very rapidly. When it comes to everybody from that generation, especially the men and women that served, I think we just have a responsibility to remember what they did for our freedom and liberty, to understand and appreciate their sacrifice and their service.
And so I wanted the younger generations to see how important it is and how honored he was to serve his country.
This is an important thing to remember, and their service does not go unnoticed by me, by my family, and I don't think it should go unnoticed for anybody.
Our appreciation to our photojournalist Corky Scholl for that remembrance. Your feedback's next. Thank you. Well, tonight you've done something you haven't done in a while. You temporarily crashed the fundraising website for our Word of Thanks microgiving campaign. This week we are supporting the nonprofit Max Fund as it provides low-cost veterinary care to keep people and their pets together. In situations where the pet owner truly cannot afford the required treatment and has to relinquish the animal, Max Fund gives that person the first right to come back and adopt the pet if the medical treatment is successful. That is just a beautiful thing, and it is perfectly in keeping with Max Fund's devotion to second chances, both for pets and for people. You scan that QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get the link to join me and apparently a whole bunch of other Coloradans in donating tonight. Please be patient if that website crashes again. Feedback's been brutal the last couple of nights. Should we read a nice one for once? All right. Julie writes in to say, writing to express my gratitude for your common sense and steadfastness during these unprecedented times and your continuing commitment to high-quality journalism. That's a very nice thing to say, Julie. Also, steadfastness is a very long word, and it's hard to say properly on TV. That's why I did it twice, just to prove to myself that I could. But I appreciate it. We appreciate all your feedbacks, the constructive criticism, especially if people just want to drag me. You know that I love to have fun with that. And every once in a while, a compliment. Thank you. We'll see you next time.